Moonbite was whipping up a storm in the kitchen of his apartment. His parents went missing when he was 10, and his brother left around the same time, so he is used to cooking now. His 9-year-old sister, Moonlight, was in the living room watching some funny cartoons. He flipped the eggs onto their plates and called for his sister. As they ate, they were both nervous and slightly excited for the school they were going to. Moonbite was going to a school for young superheroes, while his sister was starting school at Fern Academy. He wanted his sister to start school where he was going, but the school was for those with powers. He had the ability super strength and flight. As his sister chatted away about what she saw when observing the school, Moonbite was deep in thought, wondering if he would fit in. Moonbite stared at the giant building ahead of him. It was made of faded purple bricks. A few pillars stood by the door, holding up a giant roof that looked like a giant book. As he walked his way up the stairs into the halls, he noticed his locker next to the math classroom. 515, it read. A good number, he decided. Then he heard someone say, "I thought I told you to leave this school." He looked across the halls. Some kid wearing a blue and yellow hoodie was being threatened by a boy with dark hair in a red hoodie. Moonbite stared at the giant building ahead of him. It was made of faded purple bricks. A few pillars stood by the door, holding up a giant roof that looked like a giant book. As he walked his way up the stairs into the halls, he noticed his locker next to the math classroom. 515, it read. A good number, he decided. Then he heard someone say, "I thought I told you to leave this school." He looked across the halls. Some kid wearing a blue and yellow hoodie was being threatened by a boy with dark hair in a red hoodie. The boy with the blue and yellow hoodie began to stammer.
I know, I just...
But the other one interrupted. "Doesn't matter, I'm gonna pummel you." But before he could launch his fist at the other boy, Moonbite grabbed him by the wrist. "Why don't you fight someone who can fight back?" The boy, who we later learned was named Evan, was obviously pretty mad. "Who are you, and what do you want?" Moonbite smirked. "I don't know, for you to take a chill pill?" Evan stared at him, with anger filling his eyes. He looked like he was about to explode. "Look, I don't know who you are," he said, clenching his fist, "but I don't care." And as he said that, he unleashed a quick and ferocious punch to Moonbite's jaw. His head went hazy for a slight moment. His ears began to ring, and in that moment of haziness, he heard someone snap their fingers, and a puff of smoke fills his vision. The smoke settled, and Moonbite thought his eyesight was messing with him because he was seeing double. Until the smoke cleared and he realized he was actually seeing double. "You never should have fought me. I'm able to duplicate myself." He points at Moonbite and turns to leave. "Deal with him. I have better things to do." The duplicate tried to punch him in the face. He dodged. "Don't try the same trick twice," he said. His reflexes were unmatched. He quickly sidestepped and jabbed him in the stomach, causing the duplicate to disappear in a puff of smoke. The smoke dissipated, and Moonbite went up to the kid who had been sitting on the floor, shocked. He looked at him with a grin on his face and asked, "Are you okay?" He looked up to him and said with a slight grin,
Yeah, I'm alright.
Moonbite let out his left hand and said, "I'm Moonbite. Nice to meet you."
I'm Lucas Gale, but you can call me Shocker.
He said as Moonbite helped him up. Shocker began to shake his hand vigorously before a woman with a red sweater with flowers on it pointed him towards the principal's office for picking a fight, which he knew was just him doing the right thing. As Moonbite walked through the hall, he thought, "My first day here, and I'm already being sent to the principal's office? What's my luck?"
Well, you can't expect us adults to see everything.
A girl answered behind him. Moonbite turned around to see a brown-haired girl with pink and blue eyes and a navy blue shirt. He asked her who she was, and she replied,
"I'm Caitlin. Nice to meet you."
Moonbite greeted her, then asked, "How did you..." But before he could finish, Caitlin interrupted him with a smile on her face.
Read your mind?
Moonbite stared at her with slight confusion. Yeah, Moonbite said cautiously. Her grin widened.
Well, my ability allows me to read your mind.
So, you probably already know everything about... Suddenly in front of him, he saw two doors fly off their hinges with a thundering crash. A muscular man stomped out of the room. His booming voice roared.
Moonbite!
His booming voice thundered across the halls. Moonbite shuddered. Is that the principal? He asked. Caitlin stifled a quiet giggle.
You better hurry before he actually grinds around us.
He waved goodbye to Caitlin and entered the small office, attempting to act as if he wasn't terrified. The principal, Mr. Zeus, yes, the Zeus, stood on the opposite side of the table. He sat down and started to let his eyes wander. He noticed a picture of Mr. Zeus and a young 10-year-old boy with long blonde hair and cold blue eyes. As Mr. Zeus sat down and started reading through the rulebook, he started explaining what he should and shouldn't have done, then concluding telling Moonbite to follow. They walked out the back door of the building, revealing a massive football court. Wow, this is incredible, Moonbite said, observing the field.
Don't get too excited. This is your punishment after all,
he said, grinning. Moonbite stared at him, confused. What could we possibly be doing out here? Zeus's grin widened, and Moonbite realized he had to fight him. All of a sudden, a lightning bolt shot past him. Then more and more lightning bolts kept flying towards him, some even grazing his skin. It was hard to think or plan his next move. His instincts were taking over. Eventually, it was just annoying to dodge every millisecond. His instincts forced him to kick the lightning bolt being shot towards him. Surprisingly, he shot around after he made contact with his shoe and spun around towards Zeus. But to Moonbite's annoyance, he just turned his head and grazed his shoulder. Moonbite gave a relieved but annoyed sigh as he said, "So that's your weakness, the bottom of my shoe." He stretches his arms as he looks away from his adversary. "Now that I know that, this should be easy. This is going to be a piece of cake." Suddenly, a bolt of lightning shot toward him. It was too close to react. The lightning hit him. His ears began to ring as he fell unconscious. He woke up, his ears still ringing, as he stood up on his bed. He turned to his left to see a mirror he saw through his hazy eyes. But he couldn't look through his left eye. Instead, his left eye was covered by a dark gray headband. He felt like this was some elaborate joke that Evan pulled on him. Deep down he knew that this was the last time he would use his left eye. But on the bright side, it was better than death. Ravina Grimwood stood on the old wooden roof of her house in the forest. The flashing lights of the city shined through the trees. She was contemplating what she was about to do. It was 8 p.m. and she was laying on her bed after a long day of hunting, when her grandma began to chuckle as she read the newspaper.
So he's finally dead.
Ravina stared in confusion.
What do you mean? Who's dead?
She asked.
An old friend of mine.
Her grandma responded as she flipped the newspaper for Ravina to read. The death of Lucian. As of now, the infamous bank robber Lucian was found dead in an alleyway near Sparks Bank. No one knows how this happened or why, but the police force is searching everywhere for answers. Ravina looked at her grandma in confusion.
You were a bank robber?
She asked cautiously.
I was many things when I was young. But, yes, I was at one point a bank robber. Anyway, I got an errand for you to run.
She felt like it wasn't right and she knew it well. But she had to. She promised she would always follow what her grandma told her to do. But now, She was uncertain she could keep that promise. Thank you for watching till the end, and thank you to the wonderful voice actors that made this possible. Make sure to check out Creeper Miner 81's channel. He just released a D&D based in this world I'm creating. If you like this video, then sub so we can make more. Hope you have an incredible day, and see you guys later.